At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Thank you so much for joining the We Don't Play podcast show today, Dr. Nashay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. You know, this is literally reporting from Vegas, you know?
The stomping ground where we met.
Exactly. And when you think about, you know, connecting on platforms like that, you know, meeting with entrepreneurs and business owners, it creates this type of real connection that if we didn't meet, this would not be an episode. So I'm glad that we made this connection.
Me too, and I can't wait to have you on my podcast as well. Don't think this is not going both ways.
No, I know it's definitely both ways for sure. No, thank you for being here. I know more people are listening and they're like, okay, I'm tapped in. I want to learn more about this whole AI conflict management. You know what's going on. There's a lot of professional conversation happening. But before we even unpack that, we'd love to hear from you and let people know who you are, what you do, and what makes you so passionate about what you do right now.
Yeah, so my name is Nashay Lowe. I currently live in Nashville, Tennessee, but from California, the Bay Area, and moved here from Atlanta. I always like to pay homage to all the places that helped mold me. But yeah, so my background's international conflict management. What I've basically been doing the past couple of years is using a lot of the frameworks I've learned globally and applying them to local conflicts, workplace conflicts, social relationships, all these sort of things translate and transfer. They're transferable skills that go across any area of your life, essentially. And so what I do now is primarily help academic leaders and nonprofit leaders shift from reactive problem solving to proactive strategies. So we're at a point now in human history where I feel like we have enough experience and knowledge to not make the same mistakes so often. And yet we tend to find ourselves putting out the same fires over and over again. And so what I really try to do is come in and instead of doing another one-off workshop or training session, which are helpful, it's really just a starting point. And I try to be that long-term partner that's going to really help you create healthier habits that create long-term change. And so one cool thing I've been exploring lately is how AI can help us do that because it's here to stay. We might as well learn how to use it. They say, you know, AI is not going to replace us, but someone who knows how to use AI will replace us. So I'm trying to be that person who knows how to use it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And when it comes to even using AI, a lot of people are still skeptical about it. Some people don't think about it. Like, are you sure? You know, it's now tapping into shopping, into healthcare, into real estate, into food. And we're like, okay, we have to get used to this, but some people don't want to. How does someone get out of that rut or that thought mindset, you know?
I know it's a mindset shift. I think it's just about being open and evolving. I think at one point, a lot of us didn't even think, oh my God, you know, I think some people still even look at their cell phones like as just a telephone that you just call and text people. But we learn to use it and adapt with it and realize that our lives are on our cell phones. You know, same thing with computers and everything else. I think at one point, everything sounds a little crazy and we kind of underestimate how big a role it's going to play in our lives. But time in itself shows us how big and impactful these tools are. And I think AI is going to be the same thing. Like one way or another, we're going to be using it and adapting it. It's going to be integrated in everything we do. And a lot of people don't even realize what we call AI right now. I think when we say that loosely, we're kind of referencing like generative AI, like, you know, ChatGPT and things like that. But technically AI systems, you know, have been part of our lives for a long time too. We just didn't really openly call it that. So, you know, we have all types of algorithms that have been doing things a long time, and that's artificial intelligence as well. So I think it's just understanding what it really is and just being open to that.
That is true. You know, a lot of people started off the conversation with AI is going to replace our jobs. AI is going to replace our business. AI is going to replace our day-to-day operations. And most people are skeptical about that. And we think about back in the Industrial Revolution days, or even go even further than that, into empires and kingdoms and how things were done. You wonder, okay, how are we operating now in a digital society where everything is just decentralized? So how do you tell someone that's still like, I don't know?
Yeah, I think again, it's just how you look at it. Like, again, if you look at AI as what I believe it is, which is a tool, like anything else, we're using that tool to achieve a bigger goal, right? So one that my partner uses that I loved was, he's in maintenance. And so he talked about the way we used to build houses. Like, you take a hammer and you take a nail and it's how long does it take you to do that? Like, does it get done? Yes. But now we have, power tools. And so if I can do this in less time but still get the same output, why would I not make the job easier for myself? And same with anything else. So we're still building the houses. We still have to do that. It's just, are there more efficient ways to do that? And I think that AI, again, is just one of those tools that's helping us get things done faster. It doesn't mean it eliminates anyone's position or job per se, but could it speed things up or maybe not need 10 people and maybe just 5 people instead? Maybe. So I think that's going to vary across industries and fields, of course, but I try to just look at it again as being the person who knows how to use these things and shows your worth outside of the AI itself, because human beings are not dispensable, in my opinion, when it comes to a lot of industries and work. And we still need knowledgeable people operating and overseeing the use of AI.
I believe so too. I was actually even talking about this some time ago when I saw on LinkedIn that even OpenAI, the AI company, was looking for a content curator on LinkedIn as a job hire. So you wonder, we can't be dependable or say, oh yeah, we can't just have this with us. It has to be part of our day-to-day strategy. I think I'll call it interdependable, because AI needs us as much as we need it. Because if we want to save time, it has the ability to do that, while we can be able to create more time within what the capacity we have. Everyone has 24 hours, but not everyone has the tasks to complete all at once,
Exactly. And I think we all can agree too, it's not perfect, right? AI still has a long way to go with, this is how you know we're not going anywhere soon. Like, it's still learning. It's still, for example, I just used this AI headshot creator. My God, it don't look anything like me. If this was so perfect and they didn't need people perfecting these systems, it would just be able to take these things and have a perfect output on the first try. But it's still, again, being developed. And I think human development and input is a big part of that process. That it's still going to be happening for a long time.
I believe so too. And even when it comes to professional spaces, how do we see AI work in conflict management solution bases with HR or department heads? How does this look? Where are we going with this?
Yeah, I know it's such a, so even coming from an academic background, there's still, I think that field in itself is maybe amongst the most skeptical of using AI in our work, because our whole thing is about credibility and doing everything from the ground up with research and all of these things, right? And so you never want to feel like you're taking a shortcut. It just doesn't honestly feel right. I remember when I was in grad school and I said to myself, before ChatGPT really became what it was, even me being able to use systems to help me do a bibliography and do all these research, what I would say shortcuts, I was thinking to myself, how do people do dissertations when they used to have to just go to the library and check every book out and write everything manually? The process of that would have made me walk away a long time ago. And so I think that academics still very much tend to operate in that kind of, not mindset, but it's harder to let go of the traditional ways of doing things. And so what I'm finding now in this kind of work, and what I'm trying to get more people to open up their minds to, is how, again, it can be used to complement things, right? So in conflict management and resolution in general, so conflict reveals who we are. It doesn't create our divisions, it reflects them. And so artificial intelligence, to me, works much of the same way. So it's not inherently good or bad. It can be used as a mirror. So it's one that amplifies our choices, our patterns, and our possibilities. And so when we look into it, honestly, AI can show us what we otherwise miss. And so we are just humans. You know how much information's out there when you're doing research and trying to collect data? There's so much, and we're just one person. And so that subtle tension beneath the language, the repetition of bias, or the silent fatigue that often precedes breakdowns, when you're a human being trying to process other human beings' emotions and behaviors, you're still doing that through your own lens as well, right? AI can be that more objective lens that comes in and helps you see things from multiple perspectives at once. And so while AI won't save us from conflict, I think it can help us see ourselves more clearly within it.
I can see that too. It's like a reflective mirror of what we are looking for on the other side of the truth.
Absolutely. And again, a lot of conflict management and resolution it's such a subjective experience, like it literally is the processing of emotions. And a lot of times it's not even just the objective thing that's happening, it's how each person in the conflict is perceiving what's happening. And so even for me as a sort of expert coming in and trying to, disseminate all the information given to me, I'm still doing it by my personal training, my background, et cetera. And everyone doesn't want to believe this, but everyone has some sort of bias because there's so many things that go into making you who you are as well. And so again, if I have a tool helping me stay as objective as I humanly can and look for patterns and things that I might not even think to look for because that's not my background or that's not my experience, I think it just brings an extra layer of, I guess credibility might be the word, of that to the whole process.
You got me thinking about this even deeper than even professional spaces where AI is going to be used. I don't know if it's happening now, but like with therapists or with consultations where you have to put in your emotional sentiment or this is how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. It's going to play a big role into how people even see themselves.
I agree 1,000%. And I didn't even realize this. I think this happened when GPT did their latest update to 5, I think it was. There was a whole thing I saw on TikTok where like people were having meltdowns because they were essentially using GPT as a therapist / friend. And they said the updated version wasn't as nice as the previous version.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I know like people are starting to form therapeutic relationships with GPT. And I mean, that could be looked at as a both negative and positive thing, I guess, depending on what it's, giving them as an output. But I think it's already happening. Yeah. I mean, you can ask GPT almost anything and the responses are getting more and more humane, if you will. And it's quite impressive, actually.
It is. I was actually watching this new update from even Sora. The way it's doing amazing things. You like, it looks so real that even if they put it in a cartoon, you would still watch it because it makes sense. Right. Yeah. It's the possibilities are to me exciting. I think for other people, they find it on the opposite end of that. But I think there's so much possibility there. And, therapy is something that the experience is going to be subjective in itself, just because you go to a therapist doesn't mean it's the right fit for you as well. And so that's something you should at least even be kind of not shopping around, but finding a good fit for you as well, right? And so I think for some people, they're just finding it easier and frankly cost-effective to use the generative AI as a therapy alternative. And, I'm not that kind of doctor, so I'm not recommending anyone do that. That's a personal decision. But to your point earlier, it is already definitely happening. Yeah. And I think it's time that people also adapt or just, I would say, acclimatize to it and use it in a way that it also shows them what they want. Because when people are prompting or context engineering, they're saying things that they think about. So if they start saying more things that they love to hear, it's because of what they give. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a help fruitful way for the future of technology and communication compared to where before people could be introverts and wouldn't even want to say a word.
Yes, and one quick point to what you just said that I think is important too, and how you use generative AI. Again, what you put into it is what you get out of it, and using it responsibly is key. I know one thing that I tell my GPT all the time is when I feel like it's kind of just telling me what I want to hear, I will prompt it back and say, basically tell it, don't confirm what I'm already telling you. Can you do the research and tell me the parts that I'm missing, the gaps? But again, that's me as a person wanting to be rounded in the output. And so, I mean, again, anybody can misuse a tool. That doesn't mean the tool itself is bad. It just means that we have to be more thoughtful in how we're using it. Yeah.
And even speaking of using it consistently now with GPT, I just saw on the net where this was on Instagram, an account, put out where with ChatGPT now, you can actually source from websites and say, hey, booking.com, get me this. And it's something that is happening. I don't know if it's official, but I know it's possible because just last week, Perplexity dropped Comet, their AI browser, and it's changing the narrative of how people are searching now. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on where it's going for even security and privacy?
That is a tricky one, because that is a very tricky one, and it's an important piece to bring up, though, because I did notice even recently with the agent mode stuff, you can sync it to your Gmail, and I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos of people using it to kind of just, at first it's like a thought producer, right? Like it just tells you all these outputs, but then now it's taking those next steps and you can tell it to do something with that output, right? So you can say, hey, now send this email to Favour and tell him this, whatever it is. But then the thought, this is my little paranoia that I don't know if I need to get over it or if it's valid, but I don't like the idea of it being synced to my inbox. So I'm like, what if it just starts randomly emailing people like stuff that I say or I don't know where the lines are drawn there. And so it kind of just makes me a little paranoid for it to be so connected to everything. And again, I think that's just my own paranoia, but I have noticed like a thing now where you can, again, tell it to book stuff for you on your behalf. And that means I have to connect my credit card to it then, or I have to I don't know how it works enough myself for this part of it. But I can say for at least the conflict management side and how I've been exploring its use as far as confidentiality. One nice thing that you can do is, because it's just analyzing people's social situations and conflicts, I can kind of put those in anonymously. It doesn't have to use any names or anything too specific. I can kind of just put in scenarios and ask its opinion on this or person A, B, C. And just refrain from using any person identifiable information. And so that's what I work to do when I do use it in the conflict management space. And that's relatively easy to do again. But what would be tricky is if I decided to, like you said, integrate it into my drive where I do keep people's names and things, or I do keep, email addresses here in my Gmail or whatever that is, starting to connect that with AI. I don't know where those lines, how blurry that starts to get. So that is tricky. That's something I'm still learning to navigate myself. I haven't dove into that just yet because that is a very big concern I have for myself as well as people I work with. So that is a great question for me to continue exploring.
That's a good one. Yeah, because I'm also in that space and, hearing from other people, because we don't know this. We're not above AI. We're not above ChatGPT or above each other. Everybody is learning these things, as we're going. And I feel like the more advanced it gets, the more people want to learn about it, the faster they'll get it. Kind of like driving.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to drive, just do it every day, and then that way you're able to learn how it, it speaks back to you. And even I'm thinking in terms of conflict resolution, and management, how will this even play when it comes to creating dialogue? I'd say, hey, ChatGPT, create a script that will help these two people focusing on this problem as a case study to solve. How would that even work? I'm just thinking off the top right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very possible. And I wouldn't say, of course, it's not perfect. I still find myself, I've done that once or twice where it's like, I want to find not create a full script, but I know what I would want communicated, but I can't find the right way to say it. So it's a lot of tweaking of what I want it to say. And honestly, this is the thing I love about GPT. It's so iterative that you just literally talk to it. I don't want to say like a human, but like when it makes a mistake, I say, no, not quite like this. I want it to be professional, but a little warmer. Or I want it to be this, or I want it to be that. Like, I keep talking to it until it gives me what I want. If it says something perfectly in that sentence, I'll copy and paste this part of it and say, I love how you said this. Make the second half of the sentence sound as warm as this. Or whatever it is. Like, you talk to it as specifically as you can and just tell it what you want. And when I do that, I do find that it does have the capacity to be a great scriptwriter, honestly. Especially, again, when I tell it to intentionally look for things that I might not have noticed, because I'm telling it to my analysis. Like, when I say I use AI, that does not mean that I don't take my own notes. That doesn't mean I don't have my own analysis, my own this, my own that. What I do is take all of my training and background, also put that into GPT and saying it like, hey, this is what I'm saying. This is what this conflict is saying to me and what I'm getting from it and what I think the next step should be. What am I missing here? Did I not consider this person's point of view? Am I siding with one person more than the other? Is this neutral? Is it whatever it is? This is why I think, again, at the end of the day, the user of the tool is really important, because asking the right questions is always the key to me. Like, I think everyone thinks it's always having the right answers. When you don't know what to ask to find the pieces to give you the right answer, then you're not going to get anywhere. So even with GPT, a lot of times too, my prompting are questions. Like, I'm asking it, did you consider this? I don't see this here. Like, is this something that you put in your output? Can you run this again and think about this time? Or can you do this? Or what about this theory? I know this theory sometimes applies. So and that's another thing too, since I have that background and that training, I can ask questions that I'm thinking to myself, did it consider this? And also, just to add to that, one thing that's great that you can do too is, I'm not sure how well this feature works, but telling GPT to behave in the lens of what you want it to be. So if I would tell it like, hey, you are a 25-year vet in conflict management from this university, you studied this program, this is the knowledge base you have, you studied these theories, you're an expert in this. So it's already operating from my training or even beyond, and that way it's operating with that lens on top of the other prompts and information I give it. So that sometimes helps too, because otherwise it's, again, just pulling random things from the internet. But if I'm telling it where to pull from up front, so I'm saying, hey, you're trained in this theory from this academic source. And that's one thing with me too. When I'm having it search for me, I'm very clear on what type of sources I want it to look at. Peer-reviewed journals, certain news stations, whatever that is, I know where I want it to pull from. So it's not this whole la-di-da, what blog did this come from, So again, the more specific you can be with it, the better your output's going to be. And even then, I still read through. I don't just take what it tells me and just say, okay, this is perfect. I read through what it gives me and make my notes. And then again, we'll reiterate what I want to improve, what I don't see. And that process just keeps going and going until eventually I think it kind of gets what you want.
I love that. I'm so happy that you brought it down to the fact that we still need to do our part. Because we think AI is just going to chat GPT it and we're just not going to do anything after. But that's going to be like the recipe that we need to build from that to create what we want from what we're getting.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
This is good. Thank you so much. Appreciate you for being here. If there's one thing you can let someone listening know about this, especially that they're listening, maybe they're at work, they're driving, they're walking, they're thinking, and they're going to replay this again, what should they be thinking about the most so that they can get the best out of this conversation for themselves?
Amazing. So I would say that conflict transformation will always depend on presence. So that's listening, humility, trust. AI can't replace empathy, but it can remind us where empathy is missing. So it can hold a mirror again to our communication patterns and ask without judgment, is this how you're meant to show up? And I think when we can take the time to sit there and think about that, that's the beginning of transformation.
Ooh, that was saucy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know people want to connect with you. They want to know how they can work with you, or just, say hi and, get to just have I would say even virtual coffee with you.
Of course.
What options do they have available to stay in touch with you after this?
Yeah, you can visit the website at www.loweinsights.com. That's Low with an E at the end, LOWE. And from there, you can find my podcast, The Resolution Room. The link's there, my blog's there, my mind shop is there. And also on Instagram, if you want to follow me or shoot me a message on there, it's just, again, Low Insights, LOWE, Insights. And on LinkedIn, it's Nashay Lowe.
Thank you so much, Nashay. I can't wait to bring you back again on the show, and it was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you, Favour. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11, and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, We Don't Play podcast show is where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those 4, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website, www.playinc.online, playinc.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Bye.